Okay, we're into an episode of On the Wrist from Optic Cuff today. Really cool review for you guys from the brand Crafter Blue. A little about them. They were founded out of Hong Kong, established back in 2015, and they are an aftermarket professional grade rubber dive strap manufacturer and now offering full on wristwatches. Now, in terms of type of watch, of course, this would be a dive watch first and a chronograph second. But in terms of some key common characteristics, I think when you're looking for a diver, of course, you're going to want water resistance to some type of screw down crown. You want something that's tough, legible with a dive time bezel, and a dive extension is always nice if on bracelet. This particular model does come on bracelet and a fantastic rubber strap. Of course, what they're known for, this is the Hyperion Ocean Chronograph in the Arctic Blue configuration, which is actually new for 2023. And the Hyperion Ocean Chronograph features a 42 millimeter body built out of stainless steel that encases a really nice Seiko NE86 movement, which is essentially the Seiko Instruments branded version of Seiko's own 8R48 chronograph movement. So a lot to like there, because you are going to be getting column wheel and vertical clutch systems, all for quite an affordable price, guys, at just actually the full retail is $11.90, but currently on sale, part of their end of year program right now that this campaign's going, you can get it for $9.60, which is incredibly affordable for a mechanical automatic chronograph of this caliber, of this ilk, in terms of the fact that it is a very nice, high quality, very robust piece. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Okay guys, now as you can see from the packaging, it does come with a stainless steel bracelet and the rubber strap, but because Crafter Blue is so well known for their rubber straps, it just seems right to have it mounted on the rubber. But I am a big bracelet person, so I will just show this bracelet to you guys. Very nice, very unique when it comes to this folding push button clasp here. So very nice, definitely does the job. The end links, because of the style, as you can see, they are male end links. They do have a nice little swoop to them, but I do feel that they don't complement the actual watch head itself as much as this beautiful strap does, which we will definitely be showcasing here today. So let's go ahead, close that up. Very cool Pelican style case there. So we'll just go ahead and get that off to the side and focus here on the real main event. And I have to say, I'm loving this colorway. Let's actually give it a quick little dust off here. And I'm loving this, guys. This is a just very, very handsome watch. Of course, it's a diver first and then a chronograph second. And, you know, when you think about big chronograph divers, yeah, you think that they're pretty large. Chronographs are large, divers are large, so a diver chronograph is going to be on the larger side. Let's talk about those dimensions, which the first dimension I think is actually really great, which is 42 millimeters in diameter, which is, I think, is a nice size for something like this. It doesn't feel like anything is smushed or crowded on that dial. I think it's laid out really, really nicely. Now, in terms of the thickness, it is quite thick, guys. It's let me see here, 16.9 millimeters, so almost 17 millimeters thick, guys. I will say that there are dive watches that are that thick, that aren't even chronographs, and there's chronographs that thick that aren't very water resistant. So, I mean, that's not the end of the world, but it is a large number. So, I mean, it is going to be definitely size prohibitive. Of course, some people will like the wear of larger watches and they will enjoy this piece. And some of you that would want something a little bit more svelte, you know, you probably won't. But I will say, for this genre, for this type of watch, the thickness kind of comes with the territory, right? So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And I think you should definitely keep an open mind if you like the aesthetic here. I think you'll definitely be really happy in terms of the execution. Now, the lug to lug on here is 50.6 millimeters. So again, not small either, but I think proportionally it makes a lot of sense. I love the way this strap just integrates so beautifully with the case. Really nice, nicely signed, nicely branded. it just feels very premium and totally within the line of what Crafter Blue do best, which are these wonderful straps. And now you're getting their nice design cues put into a really handsome looking watch. Now, this crown, this bezel, I should say, very nice. Very reminiscent of something like a Planet Ocean, in terms of that it's quite smooth, quite clicky, maybe just not even much of of play in there, but it's just, it feels so smooth. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of dampening there. So very nice tactile engagement. You guys can see really beautifully done insert there in steel, brushed with a beautiful DLC coating there. So very nice, very handsome, similar to something you would find, like, let's say on an SPV 143, in terms of having that brushed steel with the black DLC over it. You get a nice lume pip as well, nicely color coded, so even when you are in daylight, it's going to still pop and stand out really nicely. Now, the crown here is quite large, nice and easy to actuate, and of course you have screw down pushers, so when the colors are showing, that means that they are locked in, and when the colors are gone, that means you can actuate. So of course this would be something you'd want to do, you know, above the water, but you can see really nice actuation there. Again, ooh, column wheel, vertical clutch, so you can just let this run, guys. Really, really beautiful. So if I wanted to let it run, I could just screw this down, let it be locked in, and thanks to that vertical clutch system, you're not going to be adding any extra wear and tear. So very, very cool. And in the spirit of things being screwed down, of course, the case back is also nicely screwed down with a very cool little kind of engraved inscription there, Crafter Blue, Hyperion Ocean. Very nice. And of course you're going to see other stats all around the outer rim. Very, very well executed. Of course you can't see it, but the Seiko Instruments NE86 is going to be inside, so you're going to get a 45 hour reserve with a 4 hertz or 28,800 vibration per hour beat rate. So a nice smooth sweep here. You can see nicely locked in. That's going around. And then getting into this beautiful dial, guys. Blue Sunray dial. You're getting these nicely done raised indices. You're also getting a date at 6 o'clock, which fits the theme quite nicely there. And then of course you're going to be getting some multicolored lume, if you can't tell just by looking here at it. Well, it's well lit, and since this is a dive watch, it has 200 meters of water resistance. And I know some of you might be thinking, only 200 meters of water resistance for how thick it is. Again, the thickness also does have a lot to do with the movement that is inside. And of course, 200 meters is perfectly serviceable, considering that you're not going to be diving 200 meters. So I think you'll be absolutely fine. It would have been nice to feel like it's a little bit more robust by having additional water resistance, but also that probably would have added even more thickness. So I think the trade-off is quite fair. Now, the lug width on here is 20 millimeters. Which is really nice in terms of if you want to put it on another strap. But I will say, you know, since this is from a strap maker, you're going to pretty much have the best strap option right out of the box, which I think is really great. This is vulcanized pure rubber. It has a nice 2 millimeter taper, guys, so it's going to go from 20 down to 18. The stainless steel bracelet also has about a 2 millimeter taper as well. And if you want to see more on that bracelet, definitely check out my previous review of the white dial model. I, have it mounted there, but here you can see really nicely done in terms of the texturing that's there. You have one sliding keeper, one fixed keeper that has the little brackets there. And let's go ahead and loosen this up just so we can get a nice idea of how this is going to check that out, some of the details. Really nice there, nice undercuts, nice shaping, nice molding, there. Really beautifully executed, fully milled buckle. Even has a little relief system there so that it will lay nice and flat and really feel integrated to the strap. Also, you're going to see a nice angle here, which is going to engage with that to make sure that the strap lays really nice and flat. So with that said, let's actually get this piece on the wrist and see how it wears. Okay guys, as you can see on my 7.5-inch wrist, this actually wears really well. I think they did a wonderful job of breaking up some of that visual weight when it comes to really framing that dial a little bit smaller by having that outer sloped chapter ring with a nice high contrast to it. And of course the subdials, really nice color play there. Everything feels quite balanced. Of course, if I do bring my wrist a bit too close to the camera lens, you're going to get some distortion there in terms of perspective, and it's going to seem a lot larger than it actually is. So one thing I like to do is keep my wrist nice and low here, and then just tighten up the frame so you guys can still get a detailed look, but maybe just a bit of a truer aspect ratio in terms of how this might sit on your own wrist. You can see very nicely centered. You get a nice amount of strap on either side there, and with the blue, man, it just flows. I dig this a whole lot, guys, and I know not everyone is out there looking for a diver slash chronograph. I mean, you know, obviously I think divers are very popular. I think chronographs are very popular, but in terms of kind of having something that does both of those duties, I know that's not necessarily the most popular genre, but I will say the good news about it not being super popular means that you can find real gems like this piece, I have to say. And I mean, I've dipped my toes into, you know, many other kind of chrono divers, and this is one that really has impressed me, especially at the price point, which I'm not sure that I currently even mentioned yet, which this goes for $11.90 direct, and it does come again in a nice Pelican case with the, I should say Pelican style case with the bracelet and rubber options, but it is currently doing it part of an end of year promotion for $960. Yes, guys, under $1,000 you can have something this well spec'd. Again, vertical clutch, column wheel there. So I mean, in terms of what you want from a from a chronograph movement, that's really fantastic. But then also you're going to get it in a package that is of course a bit reminiscent of the Omega Planet Ocean, but I don't think it looks, you know, quite close enough for me to consider it, you know, within kind of solid homage territory. I think it does enough a little bit differently. Of course, those lugs really give it away, and I think even the bezel itself there with that kind of cupcake style layout, which I think looks great. You're also getting sapphire that's been has a nice dome to it. Looks like you know, if I get a really harsh angle, you're gonna get some distortion, so probably closer to a single dome there, but still very, very handsome, guys. I'm digging this one, and you know what, it's meant to be a big tool watch. So again, I think it seems right at home in terms of the way that it wears on the wrist. But with that said, let's actually get this off the wrist, set up for some Lume shots, the light transition, and closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. All right, and this is a dive watch, guys. Check it out. Really well lumed. I would say the Lume is even a bit more powerful than on the white dial version because they actually used black Lume for a lot of the plops just to have more contrast against the white dial. But let's even give it a bit of a supercharge here so you guys can really enjoy that. And that's actually a really cool thing is that under the black light, the orange also really pops some nice fluorescent tones as well. So very nice, you know, in terms of having a bit of color play even in the dark. But of course, one thing I like to work in is a bit of low light transition because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to find yourself coming in and out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, or just hanging out underneath the shade of a tree. So it is nice to see what these colors, textures, and finishes render like in less than optimal lighting, guys. And to maybe include a bit of harsh lighting, which typically could expose any types of production defects. But here you're gonna see really nice, deep, dark luster coming off of those high polished sections. And of course, a nice uniform flow in terms of the light rolling over the brushed sections. Very nice. And you guys could also notice that the dial is quite dynamic. It's going to really just have a finer little streak of that bright electric kind of indigo blue, while the darker quadrants are going to be rendering closer to a midnight blue or even black. So nice versatility there. And although it does have a lot of color, I think it's not overly loud or shouty when it comes to its kind of overall delivery. This is just really a handsome piece, guys. Really digging this. And actually the white dial model that I have, it actually has a black strap, so really cool to see this blue option that really ties in beautifully to this blue. So again, makes it a little bit more versatile, maybe a little bit more summery, a little bit more fun, which I can absolutely appreciate. So we'll go ahead and hit the lights here, get into some closing thoughts. Guys, on the wrist, it feels very substantial while remaining purpose-built. Diving chronographs, you know, they do tend to be on the thicker side by nature. And so while slightly, maybe you could say this could feel top heavy, I think it still feels quite natural for this type of watch. You know, I think especially on the rubber strap, it gives you that extra level of stability there, where even if you don't wear it super tight, it has enough structure on there to where you're really going to feel like it's nice and planted. In terms of model variants, of course, there's a black dial option, white dial variation, plus even a newer kind of Tudor Monte Carlo style variation, which is very interesting. And then in terms of comparable models, you know, Seiko powered chronographs, especially obviously within the within the mechanical range and automatics, those are pretty expensive in terms of pricing. If you were to go, you know, toe to toe with a Seiko chronograph, those are going to be multiples of thousands of dollars. And then you can start looking within micro brands that are using this movement, and those are all going to charge a nice hefty premium. It doesn't really matter who's using it. This is an expensive movement, so especially if you're going to be a third-party group that's going to be using this movement, you're going to be paying a bit of a pretty penny for it, and then of course that cost gets passed over to the customer. So you know, I still think, although right now it's on sale for $960. I think that's an outstanding value. Even at the full price of $1190, I think that's still very fair, especially considering what you're getting. So for me, guys, I would say bottom line, this diver's chronograph really gives off, you know, a lot of Omega Planet Ocean vibes at about an eighth of the price. And I really like that it keeps things fun and doesn't take itself too seriously. You know, it's really just a fun piece all around. And you know, that's not something you can really put a price on, is the enjoyment that you get. And I think this is a watch that's really meant to be enjoyed. It's not meant to be a safe clean. It's not meant to go flex with or show off with. It's something that you wear, you appreciate it for what it is, and you know, hopefully if the aesthetic also resonates with you, then you also enjoy wearing it because you like the way that it looks. So with that said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like the video, please hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.